This is the story of Star Wars. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear R2-D2 beep like this. Let's begin now.
You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
It's time to spin round the rim. This is Desert Planet Discs. Star Wars music in a single file. Here are your hosts, Carl Bayless and Level Up Leroy.
Following live broadcast is recommended by the Imperial Council in the belief that your commitment to remain upstanding citizens will be reinforced. It is required viewing for all members of the Imperial forces.
Time now for
Desert Planet Discs,
brought to viewers everywhere in the hope that our own lives may be uplifted by the comparison and enriched with the gratitude of relief. This transmission is unrehearsed and unedited, and is hereby begun without further comment as to its lack of moral value.
Welcome, and this is track 34 of Desert Planet Discs. And believe it or not, we are 5. Yes, August 2019 was the first episode of Desert Planet Discs, and here we are 5 years later, older but not necessarily wiser. I think that's fair to say. But we've got a bumper birthday show for you. Presents galore. From us to you, which is a bit strange for a birthday, but hey, if you do want to send us anything, feel free. radio@fanthatracks.com, and we'll sort out all the postage details. That'd be lovely, thank you. So our first present was, of course, our opening track, which was the Andor main title 1975 version from the Auralnauts, who you may remember, if you're a long-time listeners to the show, are the guys that they do lots of remix tracks on YouTube, but they were also behind the Obi-Wan parody show, which was sort of revoicing of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which was really, really funny. It's about 5 or 6 parts, and well worth checking out. So look for the Auralnauts, Auralnauts, on YouTube, and give them a like and a subscribe, and enjoy their musical and video output. All very, very good. So I said it's bumper birthday presents. Our second present is our new co-host. So if you've been listening to the last couple of shows, you will have heard our guest co-host Leroy, and he's been coerced, blackmailed into returning on a more regular basis.
Stroke wouldn't leave the room.
yeah, just keeps following us.
Just keeps turning up.
Yeah, that's it. So, so we've got a new intro courtesy of Mark Daniels. Thank you, Mark.
It's awesome, yeah.
Well, welcome on board officially, Leroy.
Ah, thanks, man. It's good to be here officially, I guess. Yeah, not as a guest.
Yeah, you've gone from supply teacher to fully employed.
Yeah, that's usually the way it works with these things, isn't it? So, I mean, I wouldn't like to think about the pressure of being the next guest to follow on from that. Can you imagine how much pressure that would put on someone?
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, we found somebody with broad enough shoulders to carry it. And
well, could we? Is it possible to tie that in? I mean, this is a music podcast set in the Star Wars universe. Is there any way we could do that, Carl?
I think Mark Hamill has got a skiffle band, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Have we got Mark on the line?
No, unfortunately not.
We've got better. We've
got better, yes. Our special guest for this 5th birthday episode has toured with the likes of Janet Jackson.
Nice.
Been on Top of the Pops in the UK many times.
Can't argue with that.
Which, I mean, that's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, it really is.
The rest of his career is... there you go. But not only that, he's graced stages across the world and screens both big and small in both Star Wars projects and more. It is, of course, the legend that is Mr. Details.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
How you doing, guys?
Good, man.
Yes. Thank you for joining us on this special episode. So,
oh yes,
yeah. How's life been treating you?
It's been good. As Leroy will tell you, I've been dipping in and out of jet lag, which has been a beautiful thing. Except for when you have to have your brain working and your mouth working at the same time.
You don't need that on here. Don't worry.
I mean, me and Dee have spoken a few times on the phone now over the last few months or so, I think now. And the last time we spoke, he was definitely like drunk, jet laggy drunk. It was like, I was like, get some sleep, dude. Get some sleep. We'll chat in a couple of days.
And the worst thing about it, I was dying to sleep at that moment in time, but as soon as I put the phone down, I was as awake as anything. I couldn't get to sleep.
Yeah, that jet lag will get you every time.
It's a celebratory jet lag. I just had a really good time in San Diego, just hanging with my boy Chris Bartlett. It was just, had an amazing time.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, and then we'll go into Star Wars, I think, afterwards. So because this sounds really cool what you've been doing in San Diego, man.
Yeah, well, I plan to go over and visit Chris, and then that turned into, let's do a panel, as you do, and the nature of it was so kind of important to how Chris and I view cosplayers and fellow CFX performers, and it was entitled From Cosplay to Hollywood, and it was just kind of taking a deeper look and a deeper dive into what inspires cosplay artists to dress up, where it all comes from, whether it's a simple story or whether it's a complex story, whatever it is, there's something within us that just wants to stay young and just wants to perform, and give back to an audience that wants to have pictures taken with them and want them to pose with them in pictures. And all of that heart, all of that drive is pretty much the same heart and drive we have as CFX performers in terms of where we have to get to in our headspace to wear a costume, providing you know what universe or what world it is you're working in, to then have something come out of yourself as a performer and then translate through layers of costumes, mechanical, foam, prosthetics, even motion capture. All of these things that we do in front of the camera came from loving the show or loving dressing up, or just loving that aspect of waiting for bedtime to put on my superhero pajamas, or Halloween, or birthdays, or Christmas. And you see places like these convention centers and even these organizations that have the Harry Potter Wizarding World, tour. It's all about that dress up. No one cares if you've got a more expensive costume than the next person. It's just such a huge family and embracing family environment that it made sense for us to talk about this relationship, because Chris started off as a cosplayer, making the most exquisite C-3PO costumes just to entertain the audience, and then got spotted by Lucasfilm, and that eventually led to appearances, then meeting Anthony Daniels, and also then working in Kenobi, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and so on. And it's the same for the cosplay community. It's that love that drives you through. If you want to end up on the big screen, I'm sure you'll end up on the big screen. There's nothing that can stop that kind of passion. But that's what we went over and did a panel on. And we had a few other guests with us, and let me see if I can remember their names. We had Christopher Childers, we had Adam Meir, we had Dude Vader, Alan Holt, and these people all work within the industry, either making the technical creatures or aspects, or physically moving so that a performer can mimic that movement, or wearing a huge ape suit, or having to do any form of mime. And we just kind of covered the whole concept in that one little panel, which hopefully we'll be able to take on the road now, having done that at San Diego. The audience were engaged. We had slides and we had video footage being shown. But it was just nice knowing that there was an audience that understood it, because it goes beyond even just wearing the costumes. It's like families. What do I do with the kids? What should we do? Well, it's too early to dress up as something scary because it's not Halloween yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of these things where I want to let families know that it can be just an event itself just to dress up. You may not even collect comics. You may not even know what the convention's totally about, but there's a place you can go where you can all dress up and then slowly experience what these amazing events have to offer, but in such a nice way. But that's kind of the heart and passion of what we were there talking about, which went down really well.
I mean, that's really cool. Like the fact that you can be at the top of your game where you are now. You've appeared in Star Wars movies, you've appeared on television, and how you can portray a role, a character, a personality through a costume, through prosthetics, etc. But the fact that you'll bring that back to quote unquote, normal people, families, and people that are just getting ready or just want to, they're going to make their first costume out of a box because that's where they're at, and this is the spark that ignites that flame. And to have someone like yourself who's been there at the top of their game and doing this, and Chris as well, just to bring this kind of panel is phenomenal, D. I really like it, mate.
Yeah. It seemed like a very natural and organic thing to do, especially how Chris and I met. Like, we met maybe in didn't meet. We first spoke maybe in 2015 and 16, somewhere in and around Rogue One. And he was interested in the build that went into making Con, the L1 tactical droid. Yeah, I played in that. And it was through speaking to him on that, I understood that he built suits. I think he was already doing guest spots as 3PO with R2.
Yeah.
But his interest in the suit was really cool, because I could tell him everything about the suit. I was there, right?
Yeah.
And so then I did a podcast interview with Jedi Brian, and that went for about 3 hours long. It was like being on like a therapist's couch, because it was so cool. It was like such a deep dive. And Chris found out more about me on that. And then it wasn't too long after that, Chris ended up doing an interview with Jedi Brian. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Right, I understand more about him, about Chris now and his journey. And it all comes down to that heart. It all comes down to that heart. And with what Chris is filming with reels and a concept that I have for a micro TV show about this very thing, it seemed to fall more into place while I was in the States, talking and working with Chris about it. And hopefully, in the future, we might actually get a TV spot up and running connected with this from cosplay to Hollywood. And also on that panel, you had, his name, I can't remember his full name, but you call him Dude Vader, right? So Dude Vader, and he's a dude. He used to take on-set photos while working on films and things like that, and created this golden Darth Vader cosplay artist to appear at hospitals and all these kind of charity events and things like that as well. And he basically was talking about how when he's at these events, it's about what he wants to give, whether it's the joy, whether it's the celebration, of Star Wars, but that angle of escapism he wants to offer, for some of these events that he plays at. And a lot of that too is built intrinsically into the performer. The performer wants to not only please the director, not only please the fellow actors, not only please the set builders and the set designers and your costumes, right? The performer wants to actually be believed
as that character.
Yeah. And that character can only do that if that character gives. Yeah, so it's like if you dress up as Iron Man, the Marvel Universe, right? Yeah, maybe it's a first time gig, but you kind of generally, if that's been your thing all your life and you want to dress up as Iron Man, you kind of know that universe. With Star Wars, it's exactly the same thing. With Star Trek, it's exactly the same thing. Where speaking for me, it's just like putting a coat on. Yeah, and I'm going outside. I'm not stepping out. I'm not stepping outside on a planet called Mars or somewhere like that. I know exactly where I'm stepping out into, and it's the same thing with Star Wars. And I think that's why we're able to go and have a look at an image and say, well, that's what it's gonna finally look like, and then try on this costume, and you look at yourself in the mirror. That might be the only time you get to do that.
And in that second, do you create a personality? I mean, I know the show will give you some notes, but intrinsically that has to come from your soul, your heart, you as a person. That's why they're hiring you to do that. How do you have to connect instantly with this character?
There's a set of circumstances, like for the Acolyte, for Senator Chewant, I knew he was a senator. Right, so that helps. Because he doesn't look like a spring chicken. He doesn't look like Hello Nasty, right? he looks a little bit heavier. So there's a little bit more wisdom that you want to bring to it. Once you put the head on and you put the costume on, it kind of there's an infusion that takes place where it's just like, well, this is how he's going to stand. There's a couple of moments where you see him holding his hands together, and I've taken that from some Sumerian engravings, like I've seen on the old Sumerian tablets. And you have these beings, and they stood there and they're clasping their hands in a certain way. I was like, I can use that, because his hands were a little bit more puffier because they were kind of gloves I was wearing, but I could still hold that and know that it had some historical reverence, which helped with me connect to not knowing how old this character is, how old their species live for, and how high up he is. But when he's talking, and the dialogue that they gave me to perform for the performers on set, it was tantamount to what David C. Williams did. It had that authority. It was a little bit more southern.
Yeah.
because Slow and Low was, I thought, maybe it's a regional thing. So I did a deeper southern thing for that. But all the movements, everything else just comes. It's just a natural flow. If I was put inside a droid suit, like another L1 suit, the movements would be instantly different. I would instantly know that his head and his shoulders move at a different rate than 3PO's, because 3PO has two eyes, L1 has a visor and used to be a tactical droid, so it'd be more about panning. And if it's an Abdurian, like Kratten, that's always laughing their heads off, then there's something in the shoulders always happening, and trying to hold something back. But it's this world where I grew up watching Sesame Street. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that there was someone puppeteering Gonzo or Kermit when they were sitting there.
They're not real.
Oh, dear, I'm sorry. I meant to tell you before about this. Yeah, sorry, Carl. You'll find out later when we talk about the Sesame Street and the Muppet Roosevelts. Sorry.
Careful how you tread, yeah?
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You mean Oscar the Grouch doesn't really live in a bin?
But you knew this kind of thing as a kid, but you're willing to let it go for that entertainment, and so you can communicate with that puppet and that Muppet, and that always stayed with me in regards to the Jim Henson movies that followed, whether it was the Muppets or whether it was Labyrinth or something like that. Anywhere where adults were interacting with fantasy characters like these, there was some kind of avenue. There was something that kind of really spoke to me. And then also when you're watching things like Clash of the Titans, Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah.
And you're having grown adults interacting with what you recognize as stop motion, because you've seen that stop motion on some of your children's TV shows, right? But they're adults interacting with these skeletons with shields and swords and all kinds of magical creatures, and you're buying it because it's telling a story. It's these worlds that we step into that we kind of really get to embrace. From, like I was saying, from the time we put those costumes on, and not only seeing yourself in it maybe once or twice, and then bringing that to the set and bringing that to the stage or bringing that to the performance, only adds value to. Primarily, it's adding value to the performances of everybody else. Yeah, because I'm just totally in that zone to give them the performance they need, and then they do their thing, and it's like an osmosis kind of thing that just happens, where you then get the magic on the screen. But yeah, it's that I haven't been put in a costume yet that's thrown me, let's say.
Like, master what you do, mate.
Yeah, well, I recently rewatched. In fact, I think it was over the weekend. I rewatched Solo. I hadn't watched it for a couple of years, and as we'll touch on later, there are a couple of cinema chains in the UK that are doing like a Star Wars season in the sort of coming months, re-showing most of the films except Solo. So I was like, right, I'm going to watch Solo. Just to annoy Disney Plus, and you sort of recall the various characters, but knowing that we were speaking to you tonight, I sort of focused a bit more on Kay Tolsite, and it's like that is what you're just saying. You sort of bring the authority of like a division or the leader of that facility, and you can't see the face, and even if you could, it would be a prosthetic.
Or just my face, or just my face smiling back.
But it's the whole thing. The first interaction where he comes out and sort of speaks to Kira, and then, but for me, I'm really sorry, but the bit, even though there's no emotion on that face, the head in the window that then just goes, whoa. It's like it says it just does exactly what you expect.
Yes.
But it's like, as you say, it conveys that character, and it almost sort of conveys the terror of like, I'm trying to get out. You know, there's no expression on that mask, but it's like, I am trying to get out of here. Oh dear. And then the next thing you see is the swirling cape, and like L1 comes in and goes, oh.
You know what?
I've never seen anybody do that before. It's like
that's absolutely perfect, because when I looked at the scene and I was looking at the script, whatever script there was, because I was speaking in a certain language anyway, it seemed like, okay, so this is like the fast-paced kind of sequence of events which leads to, you know, the hijacking and the twist and all these kind of things. So I'm like, okay, cool. When it got to that moment in the window, that was my stunt double. Yeah, I had a stunt double. Yeah,
hey.
Stunt double. And
now we know you've made it.
Yes. But that was my stunt double, Darren Knott. And he went on to be a performer for Moon Knight, and also worked on John Wick. Is it 4 they've done, or 3?
Oh, wow.
On the latest John Wick movie, I know he was working on that. I'm a big fan of those guys. But I remember they wanted to have more of a sequence and a fight sequence take place. But it was just right. It was just perfect for that. And that was, I can't remember what that was with. I think that was with Ron Howard, but that was just enough. But the beginning of what you were saying, it is absolutely right. There were so many layers that I was being given that I believe that only I would have gotten, because I don't think anybody else knew what a pike was. You know, and I'd had to go delving into this thing. I went from thinking, oh, well, he's just a worker in this room in the background or something like that, to then being told, no, he runs the whole place. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? He's an amazing pike. That's who. So it was those kind of things that I went through, from the clothing that he wore. I was really gonna have to hold up some of this costume with my shoulders because of the shape of it. The gloves that had the silver shielding, kind of bone shielding kind of stuff on them, were absolutely beautiful. I wanted to keep them, so let's go ride my BMX like mad on them. But what was beautiful about it is that it helped me to elongate my hands, because I know what a pike's wrist and hands look like. And then they said, well, how do you want to hold the keys? And I said, well, I need to wrap it. I want to wrap it like this, because I want that bit hanging at the bottom. I need to wrap it like this over on this side here, so that when I'm holding them, I can hold them high enough, and the chain's got enough of a dip that kind of correlates to the pikes and how they hold their hands and reflex, and their reflexology in their wrists. And also with the pipe he has, that was the extension of those middle fingers, their principal fingers that they normally have. So there was all of this going on in my head, but I knew what the attitude of a pike was, you know, and it's a double cross. Every single word is a double cross, and so to facilitate that greeting. Because I know they're coming to rob me, right? I know that off the script, right? Yeah. But then as a pike, it's like, it doesn't matter what you've come here to do. I've got this whole place that's gonna trap you here, and I'm gonna keep that ship. Yeah. And so there are all of these things that go to infuse that infused his swagger, you know, and you know, he didn't. and here's my place, and welcome to my place. All of those things came in that moment because of how much I was aware of Star Wars, being a fan. So I was able to do that, and I'm just like, oh my goodness! Out of all the people it could have come to, it came to someone who knew what a pike was.
Yeah,
and I obviously had little traits and things like that I would put in there, or subtle movements. I think there's a GIF somewhere that someone sent me. I think it's really early on my Twitter. I want to download it, but it was a head movement when I'm ushering Kira into the room, and I do something like and this way. And someone found an animation of that, in the Clone Wars, where they did exactly the same head movement.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Just being able to contribute in that way. I don't know. I can't knock it because I love it. I never thought in a million years I would have anything to contribute to this franchise and fandom. Let alone them thinking I have something to contribute. So I love it. I love it.
Cool.
That's so cool. And for anyone listening, this has literally just been a masterclass in what to do and how to get there, right?
Yeah.
Kids, listen to this guy.
That's it. As we touched on in your intro, some people may not know that your pre-Star Wars career was as a member of a boy band.
That's correct.
Yes.
A boy band called MN8.
MN8, indeed. And we unearthed this DJ fellow by the name of Up Leroy, who has put together a bit of a mashup of one of MN8's main or most popular hits and a bit of Star Wars music. So, Leroy,
he got that off the file that they intercepted.
That was the original version. before you got sample clearance.
Exactly. So this is I've Got a Little Imperial for you. Don't Sweat the Details remix by Up Leroy. Let's do it.
happened to your father?
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
And I'll give you just 3 guesses to figure out what it is.
I am your father. Impressive. Most impressive.
So that was Level Up Leroy with the Emanate Imperial March. I've got a little Imperial for you. Don't Sweat the Details remix. So 2/3 of tonight's hosting panel and guests involved in a track. There you go. I'll put some drums on a version, and then we can say it's a true collaborative effort.
I think we should. Get those stems in. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'll get a little triangle at the end and just go. There you go.
I'd prefer a cowbell from you.
Okay. Yeah.
You need more cowbell.
Cowbells. You always need more cowbell.
No, I absolutely love it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man. And I sprung that track on Bunter Eve with all of our mutual friend Spencer at the Virtual Cantina Network. So we had a bit of a pint, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to have you DJ, and I've got details. He's going to come and MC for us." And I was like, I know exactly what I need to do. Challenge accepted. That was such a great night, though. Such a great night.
Yeah,
that was where we first met.
While I was in LA, did another little signing with Gunter Eve and Spencer and the gang. You know, absolutely amazing, and got to reunite with a lot of those people that I had met in the UK, and also got to meet a lot of the stateside CFX performers. You know, it's like distant family. It was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer got good people and through, and as I think Carl said on the last one, if anyone could get to Bunter Eve, you know, even if you're on your own, you are not on your own with these people. It's a really good friendship community. And Bunter Eve is where I met Details for the first time, and a certain Mooncat Drums for the first time. That very evening, I met both of you guys for the first time. Yeah. There we go.
IRL, as the kids say.
Very special place in my heart. There we go.
There we awesome. Go. We'll always have Canary Wolf.
We will. and while we're talking about our memories and things that have gone past, should we bring up the Acrolite and memories, or more to the point, our predictions that we
predictions. They didn't really last more than about 24 hours, did they? Although in my defence, I did say you watch. Like tomorrow's episode, a tree will land on her or something. That'll be it.
So explain yourselves. What was the prediction?
So in the last episode, I was bigging up Jackie Lon and saying how I could see the character sort of being developed as the High Republic era version of Ahsoka.
Your new favourite character of all time.
My new favourite character from the Acolyte. And I'm like, yes, I can see a future for this character. Not 12 hours later, she's been skewered several times by...
Spoilers, people, but...
Yeah, sorry if you haven't seen it. Yes, yeah. Well, I've just found out Big Bird isn't real, so... you know...
you're having a tough time with it right now.
Yeah, it's the night for it. So, that didn't really last very long. Picking up something else, when we were talking about the Acolyte in the last episode, I was mentioning something about I couldn't remember a word that was to do with in-universe music.
That's right, yes.
So I ran away and looked it up. It's called diegetic music. So you have, and Dee probably knows all this because it's a thing. Diegetic music is music that is in the universe that the characters can hear. So non-diegetic music is effectively the soundtrack that the audience can hear. So what we were using it in the context of the Acolyte from the episode where you've got the witches singing the chant or doing the chant.
The chant.
So that's obviously the diegetic element of it, but then it transformed into the non-diegetic end credit music. So there you go. A little bit of education for you. Who says you don't get?
There you go. Dee was just saying, like, Sesame Street's gone. There's no education for the kids. Boom.
We're bringing it.
We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
Yeah. And I didn't even have to dress up as Elmo.
I was going to go with Big Bird or Oscar the Grouch.
Or Snuffleupagus.
Yeah. That's definitely it. So those predictions didn't. And didn't you say you really like Yord?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't last much longer.
No, although I'm going to stick with where I sort of said I think the two twins might be, and I said the whole in the last Jedi where Luke did that force projection, and we had Luke was over on the island, and then he was there fighting Kylo Ren. It was a force projection. I was like, I think there's some kind of weird force projection thing going on, and they're like one and the same person. And they are kind of technically the same person.
Yeah, I know they are. That could theoretically be deeper than the whole entire plot of the entire season. In theory, and I only say that in theory because I haven't watched it.
There you go.
There we go. But yeah, so we didn't really do too well out of it. But I think
the worst thing is, Carl, is we recorded the episode the day before the show aired, and then the episode came out like 3 or 4 days after the show aired. So we were like really out. Like people were listening to it, going, "Well, it's been on already. What's?"
What are you talking about? But yeah, so at least now we can review. We can sort of say everything with the hindsight of having seen the whole thing. And I think what I stand by what I said in the last episode. I think
me too.
It is definitely. Now you've seen the whole thing, and I stick by this with all of the series so far. It was exactly the same with Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, Ahsoka. It's now once you can view it as a whole entity. Yes, there are weaker episodes, and I still maintain that if they'd have compacted it into a TV movie and some of the slightly fillery bits were, shorter flashback sequences and 100%. Things like that. It's actually not a bad story overall.
Yeah.
It's, again, for Dee's benefit, one of the things that I sort of mentioned in the last episode is I think partly as fans, but also partly as the creatives involved in it, we're all still trying to adjust to Star Wars being an episodic television property rather than 2-hour boom and
cinema experience. Yeah.
And it's not just a pitfall for Star Wars. I think some of the Marvel shows have suffered from the same thing because of the way Disney release their shows on a week-by-week basis rather than a Netflix where it's like, there's the whole of a series. You can binge it in a weekend. You haven't got time to stew on.
Yeah, if there's an episode you're not keen on, you're on to the next one already.
You're on to the next one. Yeah. Whereas with a weekly release schedule, what you're getting is, I didn't like that episode. I've got to wait 7 days for the next one. Oh, look, there's other people that didn't like it. Let's all have a moan about it. And it sort of snowballs into this, it's the worst thing ever.
And as Star Wars fans, we're impatient, aren't we?
Oh, impatient.
We really are. We want it now.
But, yeah, so, as I say, overall, not one of my favourite bits of Star Wars output, but, it was like a lot of things, books, comics, it told a story, and I am slightly interested to see where it goes, whether they announce. And again, here's something that could age very badly because we've got D23 this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As we record, not as it goes out. So we could have all sorts of announcements like, yeah, they're not doing an Acolyte Series 2, or yes, they're doing an Acolyte Series 2, or who knows. But, you've got little teasers at the end or in the final episode of some of the characters that could come into play in those stories
moving forward. I'm definitely up for seeing some more. It's interesting. There's some interesting viewpoints in seeing how the Force and things like that are perceived on other planets with other people and the witches, etc., kind of like the way we see religion. Different people see different religions in different ways. So I kind of, the way they've explored some of those things, and again, not every film and every TV series is for every person. So I think moving forwards, again, like I've said personally, I prefer my Star Wars to be a bit more warsy and going into battle, and I've got some diabolical person trying to steal my ship when I get there. I'm looking at you, D. I just that kind of thing. That's more my Star Wars. But hey, look, if Disney and Lucasfilm are going to give me more Star Wars, I will take it and I will bathe in that.
Yeah, and of course we got to see the very cool thing that I think's been done in some of the comics and certainly some of the books, or certainly spoken about, which was the bleeding of a kyber crystal.
Yes, for the first time on screen.
Really so cool. That was very, very cool to see. Sort of lightsaber going from blue, crackling, and then just turning red.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, she got bad.
She bad.
Sorry, spoilers again. I haven't told you who, but yeah, there we go.
Hello, this is Mark Thompson. I narrate a bunch of the Star Wars audiobooks, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah, so we were talking about all things
San Diego.
San Diego, yeah, and San Diego exclusives. And our good friends at Roosevelt's once again came up with the goods. They just keep giving / taking, as our show notes say here.
Yes.
They give us the shirts. They take our money.
That's it. So, there was several San Diego exclusives. One of which was designed, I think it was the Snips and Sky Guy shirt, which was sort of Clone Wars style artwork. But that was actually done, the artwork was done by chum of mine and friend of Fantha's generally, Jay Manchand, who is a tops artist from the UK. I actually think he's from over your way, Leroy.
Yeah, East Anglia way somewhere, isn't he?
East Anglia. So, I think that's the second drop now where we've had like an artist. I mean, obviously, there's artists behind all of the Roosevelt shirts, but linking it back to Chris Bartlett had a shirt in the previous drop that was all his droids, sketches from his droid sketchbook.
Yeah, those were on display at San Diego as well.
Yeah. So. And then, as I say, this one. So hopefully that's an avenue they're starting to explore. Although the other very cool top shirt that if anybody does want to send us a birthday present, hint, hint. There was like a blue shirt with the Topps Star Wars like explosion bubble thing in red and yellow all over it, and that was cool because I do like my vintage Topps design. So that was pretty cool. But then fresh off the back of that, they came out with
they just keep swinging,
another general drop towards the end of July, which in our show notes we actually have.
We have the pictures.
all the names and the pictures, because we always list them out normally and then forget what they actually look like. So so there was. I'll do the first three. You can do the next three, and we'll sort of take it like that. Okay. So there was mole markings, which is very reminiscent of the Ahsoka shirt that they did last summer.
They did send me that one, and it is as beautiful as it looks on the page.
Yeah, it is. It is very, very stunning. So it's kind of like Darth Maul's tattoos, and then the horns as well in there.
Leroy knows how to get the hookups. I've just realised.
Yeah, he is. He's got the connections.
Chef's kiss.
There's a Hard Day's Node, which I was very tempted by.
I was,
obviously being a musician. That's figuring down on the modal nodes. And the golden one, which again is one of those, from a distance, you can't really tell what it is. And then up close, it's obviously a nod to Return of the Jedi with lots of Ewoks and bits of trees and stuff, and then a 3PO on being carried on his little throne there. So
that's very much like the Thrawn one that they did with all of his stormtroopers, and then he's in the pocket, isn't he?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then the other three that they did, one was Metalheads, which was kind of like a grey one with some really cool, like, sort of greyed out and with some red sort of hints in there, all of like the metal helmets, basically stormtroopers, Mandos, things like that. They're all in there. That's a really cool one. The Art of Star Wars, which they did, which looks at all kind of, and those glorious art books that you get, and they've just taken all of this Ralph McQuarrie art, and there's all of these different.
Really nice.
That's really, really nice as well. And the Rebel Rides, which I thought was very reminiscent of I think it was the Parsecs one, wasn't it? They did with just the Millennium Falcon on it. And this time they've added more ships in there as well. So again, and it's got a bit more of a pattern to it. So some very rather annoyingly beautiful, fantastic shirts, and I can't recommend them enough as well. Like I wear them all the time, and I'm not just saying that. I know it sounds like it's like, oh, this is a paid advertisement. It is not. They do not sponsor our podcast. However, Roosevelts, if you want to sponsor us, please do. They're just so good, and they're just great, and they always like. I mean, I wear them on stage when I'm DJing, and people are always commenting on them.
Yeah,
every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I wear a lot of mine sort of when I'm gigging, and people are like, "Oh, I really like your shirt," and it's like, "Oh," and then they go, what is it?" And I go, "Oh, it's Star Wars." They go, "Oh, of course." But,
this is what people who aren't as handsome as you have to do to get attention. We have to wear shirts. We don't have the face, I'm afraid. So.
Also among that drop was one of the polo shirt of the mall markings. So that was more of a black polo shirt with the collar and button. It's only like a quarter length button thing on it. And that's in that sort of red and black tattoo markings.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, they're really, really, really cool. And then there was another polo, which was Battle for the Senate, which again is all those little Senate pods. And then there's about 3 or 4 on each side that are just sort of like tilting. So it's like Palpatine and Yoda chucking them at each other sort of thing. And then one of my personal favourites, which I was so close to buying, which was the Menace Roper. So if anybody's seen the recent, I think, was it the Father's Day last year one? The Vader Roper. So black shirt with red detailing, and that one has got like the outline of Vader's helmet and the Death Star on it. Mm-hmm. The Menace one is virtually the same sort of look, but with like Darth Maul on each shoulder, which very, very cool.
It's really cool. Then they did a couple more polos. You got the clone meme, which is reminiscent of the Spider-Men pointing at each other. We've got clone troopers on there, all over that in red. And then the Jedi stripes, which is really cool. It's not just like a pale blue, but you've got the lightsabers going.
Lightsabers all going across,
across the chest with the Jedi emblem on the arm there as well.
Yeah,
so
very cool.
Yeah, really cool.
And then there was a whole host of other stuff as well, or like golfing accessory. Now I'm not into golf at all.
I wish I was now.
crazy golf. But, yeah. In fact, there's an idea. Right. I'm gonna put it on the podcast. So if anybody copies it, I'll sue you for nicking the idea. Star Wars crazy golf.
Ooh, there we go.
There we go. I'm going to
leave that right there.
I'm going to spend the next 3 days now designing like an 18-hole Star Wars crazy golf course.
Only if you get round the hole by the end of the course, you've got a meet and greet with details.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I think we can make that work.
Yeah, it's worth the admission.
With music all the way around from Leroy.
Yeah,
big virtual DJ set in a warehouse.
Love it.
Okay, right. That's my plan for the weekend. Right? But there we go. But of course, and again, spoiler alert here, folks. For those of you that were watching The Acolyte, you will have possibly seen a character hinted at on the dark side of the Force. Good old Darth Plagueis. Has anybody ever told you the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? But as ever, our good chum, Royish Good Looks, who is not only good looking but also very, very talented, has done another one of his absolutely brilliant songs called The Tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. So this is now available on all good streaming sites. There's a video up on YouTube as well. So he's got a Patreon and stuff as well. So check him out if you're not already subscribed to him. Follow him, subscribe, like, all that stuff. Because the bar is just like constantly being set higher and higher. And he just like every time you just think he can't beat that. He can't beat that. It's just like amazing. And then bang, there you go. He does it again.
Another one.
consistently high quality. So here he is, Royish Good Looks with The Tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? It's not a story you'll hear from a Jedi Knight. No! So let me tell you of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. He had so much knowledge of the Force, he could even create life. His ability, some believe to be unnatural. He became so powerful
I have foreseen.
And that was the amazing Royish Good Looks with The Tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Yes. Yes. And of course, at the moment, some of you are suffering with the tragedy of the school holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Tell me about it. Oh.
Yes. How to keep those lovely little angels busy and not taking them to Star Wars Comic Cons in San Diego, because that's very expensive. But there are plenty of Star Warsy type things you can do in the UK. And again, regular listeners will have heard us talk about and even interview in the past Matt Fox from May the Toys Be With You, the vintage Star Wars toys and memorabilia exhibition, which has just rocked up to Discover Books in Aylesbury, but it won't cost you big bucks to go. Oh,
hey,
see what I did there? See what I did there? Whoa. The museum in Aylesbury is the latest stop for the May the Toys Be With You exhibition, which seems to break records everywhere it turns up for attendances and opening day attendances and things like that. So really, really good fun. It's priced $3.50 for kids between 3 and 15. Under 3s are free. And it's only £6.50 for us bigger kids.
Hey.
So it's a great thing to do on those lovely rainy days that we get through the summer. When it's like you can't go and play in the park or down to the beach. So if you're in the Aylesbury, Buckinghamshire area, get yourself along to that. It's really, really good fun. There's like concept toys that never made it to actual manufacture. There's a whole section on all the like different regional variants of the original vintage figures and stuff like that. Really, really sort of in-depth thing on Star Wars collecting. There's movie posters and cinema programs and stubs and all sorts of things. So really, really good fun day out. And celebrating the vintage era, which certainly covers me. Of course, you two are much younger, of course. But,
I don't know about that.
I think moving swiftly on. Before we talk about ages.
Yes.
And then we have the Odeon and Cineworld in the UK. We're celebrating Star Wars season from August 23rd to October. Plus, there's going to be a weekender from September 27th to the 29th showing a whole bunch of Star Wars movies at the cinema. Yep. So for the UK fans, we all know what our summers are like. Rain, gloomy, or extremely hot. So whatever, we don't want to be outside. Yeah. Let's go indoors and watch Star Wars.
Yeah, that's it.
Let's see it on the big screen.
Yeah, you've got the basically it's the Skywalker saga plus Rogue One.
Nice.
On the big screen again. So
you can catch our friend Mr. Details in most of those.
Mr. Details in all of his various guises, apart from the previously mentioned awesome Kratos site. But you know, once you've been and watched all the films in the cinema again, because that's obviously brilliant to see them all in the cinema again, come home and then watch Solo about 6 times on Disney Plus, just to ram it home that they should have really put Solo out as part of that as well.
They really should. That was a great film.
Yeah.
It was very unfortunate it came so soon off the back of The Last Jedi, which wasn't overly kind of well received. It's such a shame.
Shot themselves in the foot a little bit with the marketing or lack of, but it just seems strange that they've done this Star Wars season and overlooked it. But hey, so somebody somewhere presumably seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah, and obviously,
theoretically, we hope.
Do you say nothing at this point? Contractually obliged silence.
We hope, and rebellions were built on hope. So
exactly. So everybody keep watching Solo on Disney Plus. Like, once you've been to the cinema, come home, watch Solo, and then go to the cinema again next week, watch another film, come back, watch Solo. And then all of a sudden, the Disney Plus viewing figures for Solo will be going through the roof, and they'll be going,
we need Solo 2.
We need
Solo 2 happen.
We need Solo 2, and we should put this back out to the cinemas as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's almost like seamless links again, but having details here as well. He's just back from San Diego Comic-Con, and we have some Hasbro reveals from San Diego Comic-Con, don't we, Carl?
Of course we do.
Just like that. Seamless on here.
Yes. So, lots of new figures revealed, including, and if you cast your minds back to our Christmas episode, when we spoke to Star Wars Santa's wish for about the last 3 years has been for an official Hasbro blurg. Santa loves blurgs.
Obviously he does.
He wants blurgs to pull his sleigh. So finally, you see, we are the show that makes dreams come true. Mark Hamilton from Ash, on his Christmas wish list, had got a vintage collection Ghost, which has now become reality through the HasLab projects. Yeah. Santa wanted a vintage collection Blurg, and we now have announced at San Diego Comic-Con a vintage collection Blurg. So there we go.
Any wishes you want to make right now? Toy-wise.
Any toy wishes that you know.
A Black Series Quaitol site will be sweet.
Yeah.
Black Series Quaitol size. How about a Black Series Quaitol site mask?
Oh.
Yeah, you know the life-size helmets. That's Pike.
And even a Funko Pop or something.
Surely they did a Funko.
No. Quaitol site is nice and rare.
Right. Come on. Funko and Hasbro, get on this. Okay. You heard it here first. When it happens, we're ticking that off as another dream come true.
And talking about the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, the Darth Maul on the Sith Speeder, which was the exclusive they had out at the convention. I've had one of those in my hands, and I can tell you, it is beautiful. So yeah, if you've got the opportunity to purchase one of those, do so, because definitely would sit in a collection. Absolutely lovely, and it's got that old Phantom Menace boxing to it as well. They've done an amazing job on it. So really, really cool. Yeah, good work by Hasbro on that one.
Yeah, there was a few other figures and a couple of other play sets. There was the Armourer's Forge, which there's a brilliant video doing the rounds of Emily Swallow. Sort of like, I'm backstage at the Hasbro booth, and look, I've got a little Armourer's Forge and stuff. It's cool. Look, it's me walking around. Yeah. So again, Hasbro, make your Quaitol site Black Series. We can get one in the hands of Mr. Details. He'll do lots of promo for you.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
And me and Leroy as sort of like managers will only take sort of 25%. Joking, of course. He's got proper professional agents.
Well, there's the action figure, and then there's a Lego figure that I have. Those are the ones.
Yes.
I think it was through Martin Keeler that I got the Lego figure.
And we didn't even have to.
We didn't even prompt that. Yes.
The Martin Keeler.
The Martin Keeler, yes.
Once again with the announcement on the show. Every show.
Yeah, every show. Martin gets a name check. And then we go. honestly, folks, that was not scripted. We haven't put D up to that. That's purely out of his own mind.
If you could see the videos, you would have actually just watched me. we both just went, yes, and put our hands up.
Yeah. We haven't had to try and crowbar a reference in somehow. It's just happened. That's the beauty of
Martin's dealer.
Yes, it is the beauty of Martin. He is genuinely the gift that keeps giving.
It's beautiful, man.
Yes. And other beautiful people are our good friends at In Demand Toys.
They certainly are.
They certainly are, because they keep Leroy off the streets part-time.
They do indeed, yeah. They keep me off the streets and have me looking at these wonderful toys.
Wonderful, wonderful toys. And they've very, very, very kindly agreed to donate some gifts for us to give to you lovely listeners.
Some birthday swag.
Swag. So
we mentioned it, I think on the first show that I was on here a couple of shows ago, actually. So the Phantom Menace Retro Collection box set, it's got 6 figures in there. My favourite being Jar Jar, of course, but you've got Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi, Queen Amidala, thank you very much. And then we've got a droid in there as well. So all 6 figures in the box set, and we're going to give that away to one of our listeners.
Yes.
So I don't know how we should do this, but we want to make sure that we're supporting the good folks at In Demand Toys. I think, Dee, have you got any ideas on that? Can you help us out, dude?
Well, how about if they like and subscribe to Fanta Tracks on Facebook? And subscribe to Fanta Tracks on Facebook. And in the comments, just put happy birthday.
Yes. And also like and subscribe to In Demand Toys as well.
In Demand Toys,
as they're giving us this. So In Demand Toys, Fanta Tracks, and just wish us a happy birthday when we put up the post with this episode on it. Head back, get onto Facebook, pop happy birthday in there. We'll know you've listened. And you might get yourself a chance to win this Phantom Menace Retro Collection box set. Yeah!
Featuring no characters that Dee portrayed. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite wangle that, but hey, that's possibly a future giveaway. And if we do get to give away something that features one of your characters, Dee, we will of course get you back on the show.
100%.
To keep
absolutely.
To keep it and to steal it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make sure you definitely got one first. Just so you know. Otherwise, it'll be the shortest competition ever.
But the way it works with Carl is you come on as a guest a couple of times, and then you're suddenly a co-host. So
that's it. That's why nobody else keeps coming back.
You know what they say? Poodoo happens.
Love it.
So we're sort of getting to the end of the episode. So,
we are, yes.
Yeah. Next time out, obviously, as we mentioned briefly earlier, D23 is happening. Not D, our guest, but D23.
But
you are 23.
And I am happy.
And you are happening.
And it's happening.
And D23 is also happening. So we'll be rounding up on the next episode all the news that comes out of there. Obviously, Mark on Making Tracks will be rounding any news on their next episode over the next coming weeks. Stay tuned to Fanta Tracks on all the socials for all the news over the weekends as it happens, and obviously going forward, any stories that come out of the stories that happen at D23. So it should be really cool.
And we're going to finish up with a track in honour of Mr. Details coming on the show. Our birthday celebrations as well. Thank you for coming on, Dee.
Yes, thank you, Dee.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been absolutely amazing. And congratulations, happy birthday. And congratulations to my boy, Level Up Leroy. Now you're a full-time member.
I'm legit. Yeah, you'll be seeing me running around with the Fan for Track shirt on in no time at all. Switching between the Roosevelts and the Fanfras. That's how I do it.
He's already getting his business cards amended.
Yep. Podcaster, yes.
Yeah.
So, in honor of having you on here, and your Beastie Boy characters, do you want to name them?
Slow and Low, and Senator Chewant.
What you want? I have found this awesome Beastie Boys remix over on Bandcamp by a guy called DJ Chris Diablo. So you can go and find him out on there. He has literally done. There's about like 25 intergalactic remixes by the Beastie Boys. He's just done all of these different versions. And right down at the bottom, if you scroll all the way down, it's called Far Far Intergalactic, and it's a Star Wars mashup. So let's do it.
From the hunter never had to the now. I rode the marathon to
that was DJ Chris Diablo's Far Far Intergalactic remix from Bandcamp. So go and check him out on there. And that about winds us up for this episode.
Yeah,
we are 5. So obviously we now need to go and have a little afternoon nap. like all good 5-year-olds.
We've played with our toys.
That's it. We've eaten far too much cake. Drunk
so actually, it might not be jet lag after all. I might be just regressing in years.
That's the way to do it.
That's it.
We're all Benjamin Button here.
Yeah. So we'll go and drink far too much fizzy pop and then run around till we're sick. And we'll see you next time. We're going to play out with Closed on Sunday's lo-fi remix of Mandalorian and Grogu, picking up on hopefully what we might see some news of from D23 this weekend.
Yeah.
The film.
Yeah.
That's scheduled. That obviously we can't ask D whether he's involved in or not, but.
What do you mean? Are you? I don't know. And it's, special thanks
and on that
to
bombshell.
D.
On that bombshell. Yes. Thank you once again to D for joining us.
Anytime.
Thank you to Leroy for coming on board full time. Don't forget, folks, if you want to be in with a chance of winning that Phantom Menace box set of the retro collection figures, when we post, or obviously when you're listening to this, you will have seen presumably the post, unless you're just not subscribed to the podcast links. But head over to Facebook, find the post on the Fantha Tracks feed for this show. Make sure you're following Fantha Tracks on Facebook. Follow In Demand Toys on Facebook. Leave us a birthday message, and we will pick one lucky winner at random to receive those retro collection figures.
And we'll announce it at the next show.
Yeah.
And D's, you can't see this, but D is pointing at himself.
D's pointing at himself.
No Fantha Tracks employees, no In Demand employees, and no Lucasfilm previous employee contractors are allowed to apply.
Yeah. Thanks, Barrick.
Yeah. So until next time.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me down the road. That's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on.
Thank you for listening to Fantha Tracks Radio and this episode of Desert Planet Discs. For all your Star Wars news, reviews and everything else, head over to fanthatracks.com, or why not like, follow or subscribe to our social media pages, which can be found by searching Fantha Tracks on your favourite channels. Get in touch with us by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com and putting Desert Planet Discs in the subject line. It helps the pit droid sort out where it needs to be sent. Of course, we'd be honoured if you subscribe to the podcast channel and leave us a review, preferably a 5-star one, via Apple Music, Amazon, Audible, SoundCloud, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribing is the best way to make sure you never miss an episode of Desert Planet Discs, Making Tracks, Planet Layer, Start Your Engines, Collecting Tracks, Fantha from Down Under and Cannon Fodder. Weekly Making Tracks shows drop every Tuesday at 7 PM UK time, and other shows drop on a rotation every Friday at the same time, 7 PM. If you'd like to see what we look like, then don't miss Good Morning Tatooine on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch every Sunday at 9 PM UK time, 4 PM Eastern and 1 PM Pacific. Huge thanks to James Semple for the Fantha Fair intro, and Mark Daniels and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. And remember, Fantatrax Radio and TV is totally free. No subscriptions, Patreon and the like, so what's stopping you?
Come back soon, I'll be waiting.